Hello everyone, welcome to this class. This is a continuation from where we stopped in the previous class. We have been able to prove all these angles. I call them special angles, and now we are trying to analyze how you can calculate angles above 90, from 90 to 360. You can also do more than 360, but that's not the scope of this class. We are going to stop at 360, and I explain something to you. Let's go to the. So this is still the summary of what we were proving before in the previous class. 0, 30, 45, 60, 90, and these are the values for the sine, cosine, and tangent. So now we have this, because I'm trying to teach you how to calculate for angles above 90 to 360 degrees. So this is the first quadrant, which is the angle between 0 and 90. Mind you, if you understand your inequalities very well, you know that when you use less than, or greater than, it means that the two boundaries are not included. So 0 and 90 is not included in this analysis that we are doing. We'll solve them specially. I'll teach you that in this class, the way we solve 90 and 0 while we are doing the proving of the angles. But for the angles between them, we can prove them in this class. So first quadrant are the ones from 0 to 90. This is right angle. This is a circle. We all know that the total angle of a circle is 360 degrees. Second quadrant is from 90 to 180. Third quadrant is from 180 to 270. This is 90 to 180. This is the third quadrant. 180 to 270. This is 270. In case for those that can see it properly, this is 270. Then the fourth quadrant is from 270 to 360 degrees. Now, what are these formula for? This formula is trying to tell you how you can just find the answer to these angles, like for second quadrant 90 to 180, with using what we have gotten from the first quadrant. For sine, in the first quadrant, you have sine 180 minus theta is equal to plus sine theta. Cos 180 minus theta is equal to plus cos theta. Tan 180 minus theta is equal to, sorry, this is supposed to be negative. So negative is here, minus tan theta. For the third quadrant, this is how you go about theta minus 180 equals to minus sine theta. Cos theta minus 180 is equal to minus cos theta. Tan theta minus 180 is equal to plus tan theta. I will explain with this negative sign when we start solving it. Then for the fourth quadrant, we have minus sine theta. Sine 360 minus theta is equal to minus sine theta. Cos 360 minus theta is equal to plus cos theta. Tan 360 minus theta is equal to, this is negative, minus tan theta. At least it makes more sense that here sine is negative, cos is negative, and tan is negative, because tan is also, we all know that tan is also sine over cos. So if sine is negative divided by cos that is still negative, obviously minus will give you plus, so tan will definitely be positive. In the other place, you see that both of them have opposite signs, so tan is negative, but that's by the way. So what does this mean? What this thing means is that if you have an angle above 180, let's start solving so you understand it better. So these are the examples I have. I have 150 degrees. Now the first thing you are going to ask yourself, which quadrant does 150 degree falls? Obviously second quadrant. From here you can see the second quadrant is between 90 to 180. So 150 is greater than 90 and less than 180. So what we are going to do now, since we have already known that this falls in second quadrant, formula for second quadrant is, formula for second quadrant is 180 minus theta. So that angle we are looking for is the theta. So the sine will be sine 180 minus theta is equal to sine theta. What does it mean? When you subtract the theta from 180, whatever you get, are you with me? Whatever you get from this is equal to what you are looking for. So let me express this thing in a way you understand better. It means sine 180 minus theta, and in our case theta here now is 150, so let's replace this by 150. So let me say minus 150 is equal to sine theta, which is sine 150. I don't know if you are getting the correspondence here now. So meaning sine 180 minus 150 is 30 degrees, is equal to sine 150. And that's why I said take note of all these signs here, these negative and positive signs here, because in the case of sine for second quadrant, sine is still positive. So for here, my sign will still remain positive. So sine 30 will now go to what we have proven to be sine 30. Here we prove that sine 30 is half, that's 1 over 2. So what we are going to have is that 1 over 2 is equal to sine 150 degrees. So sine 150 degrees is equal to 1 over 2. So you see that now we've solved for the second quadrant without having to go to rigorous way of proving, just knowing that this formula is correct. So let's go for cos 150. For 150, we're going to have cos, let me put the 150 this side of the degrees, is equal to cos 180. I'm jumping steps, so I'm going straight to it. So cos 150 degrees is equal to cos 30. I might not need to start solving this since we've already gotten it here. So we already know that is cos 30 is 30. So cos 30 from what we solved, cos 30 is root 3 over 2. So cos 150 degrees is now root 3 over 2. So the same method we are still going to use for the tan. Tan 150 degree is equal to, now job step, tan 30 degrees. So tan 150 degrees, our tan 30 degrees is what? Is our 30 degree, root 3 over 3. So this is the answer. Let me highlight this one. So root 3 all over 3. So we can see how you can solve this for the second quadrant. But now I made a mistake here. If you look at this formula, you see that for the sine, only the sine is positive, while cos is negative and tan is negative. So the real answer here is supposed to be negative. Cos is supposed to be negative root 3 over 2, and tan is supposed to be negative 2. It's only sine that is positive in the second quadrant. So it's just for you to understand this formula. When you have an angle, you use this formula, and after solving, you check whether there is negative sign or positive sign, and then attach to it, and that's your final answer. Let's do the next one, maybe that you get it better. The next one is 240 degrees. First, you're going to ask yourself, which quadrant does this fall into? It's third quadrant. Is greater than 180 but less than 270. So the formula we're going to use for it is theta minus 180. Now in this third quadrant, only tan is positive. Take note of this, because even in the first example I solved, I made that mistake. So don't make this mistake. So when you come here, we have let me jump step. 240 theta subtracted by 180. So that's the formula we are using. So for the first one, let's sine 240 degrees is equal to sine theta is 240, sorry, minus 180 degrees. But now it will be negative. Don't forget. It will be negative sine 240 minus 180 is 60. So whatever I get from here is equal to sine 240 degrees. So negative sine 60 from our proof we did earlier is root 3 over 2. For those that don't know how to get this, please go to the previous class. I'll put the link in the description below. Just click the link so you can go through it and see how we proved all this. so no, we are not repeating it in this class. So this is root 3 over 2. So sine 240 degrees is equal to negative root 3 all over 2. So this is your answer. Then for cos 240 degrees, we all know that it will be negative. The third quadrant, only tan is positive. Negative cos 60 degrees, because 240 minus 80, if we don't need to start always repeat this, so it will give us cos 60 is 0.5, so equal to negative 1 over 2. This is your answer. While for tan is the only one that is positive in the third quadrant, so it will be tan 240 degrees equal to tan 60 degrees, and tan 60 degrees, for tan 60 degrees we have root 3, so this is tan 240 degrees equal to root 3. It will be positive. So let's go to the next example, 315 degrees. Now 315, first thing you are going to ask yourself is, which quadrant is this? You don't need, you see it is the fourth quadrant, greater than 270 but less than 360. So the formula for the fourth quadrant is 360 minus theta. So what I'm doing is, let's go for sine. Sine 315 is the same as sine 360 minus 315. Theta is the angle you are looking for, so that's why this is theta, you replace it by 315, and this theta you replace it also by 315. Now in the fourth quadrant, also know which of them only cos is positive here, so know this. So this will be negative here, so sine 315 degrees is equal to negative sine 360 minus 315. I'm getting 45, sine 45 degrees. So sine 315 degrees is the same thing. Sine 45 is what? Sine 45 is root 2 over 2. Negative root 2 all over 2. So this is your answer. While for cos 315 degrees is the same thing as, mind you, only cos is positive in this fourth quadrant, so this will be positive. The same thing as cos 45 degrees, and cos 45 degrees is cos 315 is equal to the root 2 over 2 positive. While tan 315 degrees is same thing as tan 45 degree negative, don't forget. So tan 315 degrees is the same thing as negative 1. So this is how you solve for angles above 90 to 360 using this formula, using these formulas here. Now something that will confuse you now is, how do you know which of them is positive? I have a formula, or let me say something I brought, that is something I used to, I will teach you that you need to remember it. Remember them when you draw this quadrant. You know, this is first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant. So I will call this place O. O means both cos, tan, and sine. I'll call this place sine, and I'll call this place cos. I'll call this place tan. So let me just replace it here. So what I need to remember them, we just say cast. Cast means by the time you draw this circle in this format and do this, you know that it's cast. That's C-A-S-T. So that's one of the way you can use it. Cast means in the fourth quadrant only cos is positive. In the third quadrant, or let's say let me go clockwise. In the first quadrant, all of them are positive, which is what we have here. In the second quadrant, only sine is positive. In the third quadrant, only tan is positive. This is outside mathematics. This is what you can use this to remember them, so that when you know this formula is not hard to remember. Just know that first 180 minus theta minus 180, 360 minus theta. What you are trying to do by doing this formula is just for you to bring it down to an angle in the first quadrant. So whatever the answer is in the first quadrant, you know that, okay, that's the same answer it is in the quadrant you are looking for. Then using this cast, you can know whether it will be positive or negative. I hope you get that. So the next thing we are going to deal with is 0 and 90. Now you can see that 0 and 90 can only correspond to, this is 0, this is 90, and this is 180, 270, and let me see, put it there, from 0 to 90, 90 to 180, 180 to 270, 270 to 360. So that one, I'll teach you how to remember that one separate. So how do you do those ones? We all know that sine 0 is already here, but because we're in the next page, I'll write it out. Sine 0 is 0, while sine 90 is 1. Cos 0 is 1, while cos 90 is 0. Tan 0 is 0, while tan 90 is infinity.